Hi, my name's Jonathan Hicks, I'm back at the Dice Cup, and today I'm joined by Steve. And we just finished playing Imhotep the Duel, which is a two-player version of Imhotep. So it's a similar kind of game, there are these boats that are going to kind of arrive at the harbour with various types of goods on them, these tiles here, and you're acquiring these tiles. I'll talk about how that happens in the middle in a second, but in order to score points at the end of the game, and it probably makes more sense if I explain how the points work first. So you can get these obelisks. You basically get 1 point for every obelisk. Whoever at the most at the end gets an extra 6 points. You can see Steve has got rather a lot of the obelisks. Then there's these sort of golden tiles. Essentially you just get 1 point for every red sun on those. Then you've got pyramids. Now there's two kinds of pyramids. There's the dark one and the light one. You can collect tiles for both, but you count each one separately. So at the end of the game, you can see I've got 4 tiles in this dark pyramid. So 4 tiles would mean I'd score 10 points for this particular pyramid. If I just had then 2 tiles in the light one, then that would get me another 3 points there. So you're scoring points depending on how many tiles you've got in the pyramids. The tomb, you're collecting tiles that have to go in these appropriate spaces. You can see it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and it kind of wraps around all the way up to 12 down here. But you only get points for connected groups. So these 4 which are connected actually get me quite a lot of points. 4 gets me 16 points. Then this one by itself only gets me 1 point. So that's how you're scoring the various things, and whoever has the most points obviously at the end is going to be the winner. How do you get the tiles? Well, on your go, you can place one of your meeples and it goes in one of the spots in the middle. So maybe I decide to place it here. Alternatively, instead of sticking your meeple down, you can unload one of the boats. And you can either pick a boat in a particular row or column. It doesn't have to be one that's got your guys in. You can unload any boat you like, but there must be at least 2. So I couldn't unload this boat because there's only 1 here. There's at least 2 here, so I could unload this boat. And effectively, the closest guy gets the thing furthest away, and then the next closest guy gets the next one that's closest, and you just take those, and if there's a space here, the last one is kind of thrown away and you don't get that. And then you just refill the boat from the suppliers, like a supply of these tokens. So in this case, for instance, I'd really like to want to get the dark pyramid tiles, because if I get more of those, I get quite a lot of points for those. So you kind of look around and think, oh, I'd love to get this one. At the moment, if I unload this boat, then that'd be great, because I would get the one furthest away. Steve would then get the middle one. And there are, you can see, some special ability tiles. These, when you acquire them, says swap 2 tokens unload, you use as an action. So in fact, I've got one of these in front of me. So instead of placing a guy or unloading a boat, I could choose to do this. I'd place 2 or 3 meeples, and then that gets discarded. So you can see the tricky thing though is if I want to get this particular pyramid tile, the problem is that Steve's guy is the closest one, so he's going to get it. But what I could do, for example, is choose to unload this boat. Now that doesn't help me particularly because Steve's getting his stuff, but it means that this guy and this guy, like you'd take these 2 tokens, Steve would get those, but then his guys go away after the boat's been unloaded, and now on a subsequent turn maybe I can go here and then try and get it. So there's a kind of bit of thought as to maybe if I take this other row or this column, then I can get the tile that I particularly want. What do we think?
I like it. I liked Imhotep when it first came out. It was a bit simple and it was a bit random, especially when you're playing multiplayer. So in Imhotep, you could load the boats with lots of your stones, but you had no control of where they go. Or you could unload all the boats, but then you hadn't got any of your stones on there, so you didn't really score many points there. There's a similarity here, but there's much more control because it's a 2-player game. I can see, well, if I go here, you can do me by taking that boat, so maybe I need to go here instead, or maybe I need to unload this boat first before I can put any more guys back down. You've got this situation where if you are unloading fewer boats, you're going to gain more tiles. So for example, if Jonathan's got 2 in a row, if I can get the 3rd on that row, it might not necessarily be a good tile, but every tile will score you something. And then he'll unload it, and I'll piggyback on his unloading of the boat, and then on my next turn I'll just be putting all my guys out, hoping that he unloads more boats than me and I get more tiles that way. But if you just do that, if you just always try and get 4 guys out before you put any things on, all of your points will be spread out, and you do get more points for maximising abilities in certain areas. On each of the scoring things is an alternative, a bit like Imhotep, but I imagine you can play the A side, or the B side, or combination thereof. So there might be certain ones that balance fairly differently. We've only played the A side throughout, but as a game I rate it higher than Imhotep the original game, mainly because there's less randomness in there. You can see what your opponent's moves are, and you know whether you're going to get what you want or not.
Rating?
For a 2-player game it's good, 7 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, it's surprisingly thinky. When you sit there and look at the board in the middle, it's like, oh, if I put my meeple there, oh, but then Steve could unload that boat and that would do me in. Maybe I should unload this boat first. Oh, but then he's going to get that good thing. And a lot of the time you're thinking about trade-offs. It's like, this gets me something good, oh, but it gives Steve something good. And you're trying to balance that. Is it worth the trade-off effectively? And because it's a two-player game, you know, there's kind of zero-sum thing. Whatever you're taking away from him is effectively adding to you. So that's really nice. It gives you a lot to think about. It's much heavier than it looks. The rules are nice and simple. Point scoring straightforward. But there's a lot to think about if you want to go down that route. So I think it's great. I think it does a great job for what it is. I'd also be honest, 7 out of 10. All right, thanks for watching. That was Imhotep the Duel.